Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Starkey Farmstead. So here is the question of the day. Why is cloud seeding and geoengineering not regulated? I know what you're thinking. Surely it's regulated. What about the EPA? What about NOAA? What about the federal government? Well, the answer to that question is there is only one single federal law that governs all the cloud seeding done in the skies in America, both private and public. And it works like this. You simply have to register, folks, with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. That's it. You just have to say, hey, we're cloud seeding today over this area. So my question is, how can we attribute really bad weather to climate change when we know that we're messing with the climate? And why is it that wildfires are getting exceedingly hot, hotter than ever before, yet nobody's talking about the aluminum and the silver that they're dumping in the skies? Well, folks, I found one scientific report that was put out in 2023 asking those questions, saying, how can we keep saying that climate change is causing all this erratic weather when nobody is holding anybody accountable for what they're doing in the sky? First, I'm going to start with an excerpt out of the book, Reclaim Paradise, okay? Amazing book. I highly suggest all. Let's start with page 133. And it goes like this. Their weapons to subjugate the masses are many and keep on changing. Tactics using medical martial law, the lockdown of society, and the destruction of businesses and lives is part of the most recent wave. Our governance scripted by corporate lobbyists, election rigging, and control of the higher courts. The military-industrial complex serves corporate agendas. They also use chemicals in our food like glyphosate. They have even managed to weaponize weather with programs like HARP. Now it is 5G radiation being forced down a community's throat when proven health risks exist, making constant surveillance possible. There is also the manipulation of the monetary system and debt form, a wide variety of banking scams, including attempts to make all currency digital. In every civilization, in every culture, in every historical period, authoritarians have known that spectacular acts of violence or fear help to further consolidate their own power and control. An important counterweapon is truth and exposure. Do your research, folks. That's why I started with that bit out of that book. I want you to understand that there are a group of us worldwide pushing back. We're pushing with everything that we have against the global elitist and the plans that they have for us in 2025. So here are some really interesting clips that I found, and I want you to watch this first one.
Anderson, and I go by Tiffany Tornado. My friend is always giving me a plug on here, trying to get me to make videos, and I figure today is a really good day. Let's see if I can talk while we look at the sky. Pause. Okay, here we go. So over this direction is would be Yerington, Nevada. Right there is Highway 50. If you continue traveling down the road going this direction, you'd end up in a little town called Dayton, Nevada. If you went a little bit further, you'd end up in Carson Valley. And then if you continued on that direction, you'd end up in Tahoe, South Shore Tahoe. Continued on Highway 50, you would end up in California. So the Desert Research Institute claims ownership over cloud seeding in my county and in counties that border, the counties in California that border Nevada. It is my working hypothesis that these aerosols that they are spraying in the sky are creating our forest fires that we have going on during the summer. In fact, in last summer, it was this whole basin here that I live in is like a little bowl, and it just was filled with smoke. So I can tell you that in accordance with the Clean Water Act of 1970, the Desert Research Institute is required to file a National Pollutant Discharge and Elimination application to operate as a business, and they are also required to do an annual reporting to share if there are any adverse effects on the water and the soils.
I think the most important thing that she pointed out in this report says here, EPA's climate accounting suffers from the same casual oversights, namely it observes changes in natural conditions, but often fails to account for their human causes. Climate science, divorced from regulatory and policy inputs, may be failing to account for human effects on the climate. Now I'm going to start with this research paper that I found this morning for you guys, and we're going to start on the wildfire section. The EPA also considers wildfire as a climate change indicator. This indicator tracks wildfire frequency, total burned acreage, burn severity, and the seasonality of wildfire activity in the United States from 1983 to 2021. Wildfire suppression policy has changed dramatically in the period underlying the indicator. For many decades, federal government firefighting policies followed the 10 a.m. rule, which required firefighters to extinguish each fire prior to the 10 a.m. the following morning. This total suppression policy focused on putting out fires completely and quickly. This is important, okay? As a result, wildfire sizes remained small. They were extinguished quickly, and they burned relatively little area. During the latter part of the 20th century, fire ecologists began questioning the wisdom of suppression. This wind this morning, boy, it's beautiful out here. A narrative of using fire to restore the natural landscape emerged. Critiques of suppression claimed that this policy increased fuel load, resulting in hotter, more intense, more damaging fires. Over time, agencies formally changed wildfire policy, shifting from total suppression to let burn policies. These policies are essentially the opposite of the 10 a.m. rule, allowing fires to grow and burn without suppression attempts. Unsurprising, letting a fire burn unimpeded results in larger, longer, and more intense fires. Fire suppression policy underwent a dramatic about-face from the 1980s to the present. Yet, continuing to use the fire indicator without accounting for this policy shift results in a potential false attribution. So what am I trying to tell you, folks? I'm trying to tell you that the climate change science is skewed, it's incorrect, its parameters and its measurements are outdated and incorrect. And if we're gonna shove climate policy change down 8 billion people's throats, then our federal government and the EPA and the UN and the WHO and the WEF better do a better job at regulatory. First off, tell us how these fires are getting so hot. Is it possibly all the aluminum pouring down and the trees absorbing it and then becoming basically like a big Roman candle? Possibly. And then you've got guys just using their planes and showing people how they do it. Just flying in the sky, setting off little flares and burning aluminum and silver iodide right there in the clouds, just woof, like just every day. And nobody's regulating this. They can't tell us how much aluminum has been dumped on us. Each individual company is like, well, I'm within perimeters of what's safe. I followed what the EPA said in the water, and we're doing what we're doing is safe. We ain't put that much in the air yet. But when you've got 500 companies all hitting the maximum load, then it isn't safe anymore. You want to know why people are so sick? Why your gardens didn't grow this year? Why fires burn out of control so hot that they melt aluminum rims? Yeah, things that make you go, You guys have a blessed Sunday. Thank you to everybody that's been sending your dollar for Let's Make Hammer Feel Better appointment that I go to Thursday. We're halfway there on getting enough money to take him to see this neurologist. I'm actually going to have to take him to the LSU veterinary clinic located in Baton Rouge, the Louisiana State University. It's the only neurological vet I could find that could possibly help my German. So if you'd like to support our channel, today would be the best day ever. And I really mean that. Please like, comment, and subscribe. This channel is about proving what we say. I'm not about conspiracy. I'm not about fear. But the Bible does clearly state, my people perish for lack of knowledge. And if you're on this channel, on this platform, you're not going to perish for that.